Good afternoon, Mr. Gwizdala. Can you hear us? Mr. Gwizdala, can you hear us? Good afternoon, Mr. Gwizdala. Can you hear us? Mr. Hayward, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thank you. Mr. Gwizdala, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, everybody. Please silence all electronic devices. Our meeting will be live in 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Davidson Anastal. I'm with HART Legal Counsel, and I will be running the meeting until the chair of the committee is elected. This meeting is now called to order. Welcome to the February 20th, 2025 HART ADA Accessibility Committee meeting. The meeting format is hybrid. Quorum is physically present at HART Administrative Office, 1201 East 7th Avenue, Florida Conference Room, and the rest of the committee members are participating via communication media. As a reminder, committee members should raise their hands and please speak once you are recognized. And now for the Pledge of Allegiance. An image of the flag is displayed. Please stand if you are able to join me in the Pledge of the Allegiance.
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first task will be for the committee to introduce themselves for the committee and the community. Please state your name and mention if you are representing an organization or attending on anyone's behalf. I will start and we'll move around the table, then go to those online. Again, my name is Davidson Anastal. I'm with HART Legal, and I'm here on behalf of Director Bailey.
Good afternoon. I'm Melanie Williams. I'm here on behalf of HART.
Good afternoon. I'm Sean McCarthy, Chief Operating Officer, HART. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce HART's new Director of Paratransit, Mr. James Secor. James is a seasoned transportation management professional with over 15 years of leadership experience in overseeing operations, contract compliance, and customer service within the public and private sectors. With a proven track record of managing multi-million-dollar budgets, supervising diverse teams, and ensuring ADA compliance, James excels in optimizing paratransit and mobility services. James is dedicated to improving operational efficiency, enhancing customer satisfaction, and fostering equitable access to transportation solutions.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh. Good afternoon, everyone. James Secor, Director of Paratransit for HART.
Good afternoon, Carmen LeBou with Hillsborough County ADA Office, and welcome, James.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, my name is Raquel Pancho. I'm the ADA coordinator. Okay. Good afternoon, my name is Raquel Pancho. I'm the Americans with Disabilities Act coordinator for the City of Tampa.
Hello, my name is Diane Luce. I'm an orientation and mobility specialist with Lighthouse for the Blind and Low Vision.
Good afternoon. My name is Rashawn Tucklow. I am Senior Director of Compliance at McDonald Training Center, representing Karen Levy.
Anyone online would like to introduce themselves?
I'm Marion Gwizdala with National Federation of the Blind Tampa Bay Chapter.
Anyone else? Okay. The next agenda on the item is public comment. As a reminder, this section of the meeting is dedicated for the public to provide comment. We ask the committee members hold all discussions on public comment until the roundtable discussions or new old business of the agenda. Each speaker has 3 minutes to speak, which will be monitored by staff. Staff, please proceed with facilitating public comment.
Our first person to speak is Mr. Jimmy Marshall.
Good afternoon, board and everyone else. My public comment is about the securement issues on these buses and these bus drivers. I have had numerous issues with these drivers unwilling and unable to secure the seatbelt and the securement attachments that go to the yellow straps there. I've had an issue a couple of times falling out of my mobility device. It is broken at the moment. That's why I'm walking here. I had a really terrible incident the other day on the number 12 route, and we couldn't get the driver's operator number or the bus number because she called and they had us all put off. Now, she did not want to secure my seatbelt. She did not know how to do it. And she was very rude and she was very unprofessional. And some of the patrons told me that before I got on the bus, she was that way before I even got on the bus. And that bus left from University Transit Center, and I picked it up at 22nd Street and Diana. Now, I've had drivers tell me, I don't care. You call HART, call Sean. I don't care. This is how they speak to us. And that is very, very unprofessional. And this is like, I've called, I don't know, 16, 17 times. I've been here twice. Nothing has been accomplished as far as dealing with these drivers and their attitudes towards people, and they don't want to secure you. My safety is involved in this. And when they don't secure me, there's an issue with me that can possibly raise up to $300,000 in medical bills. So this is a serious problem and serious issue for me. And I wish that you all would get a handle on this and get a handle on these drivers. You know, get them in training, talk to them about their customer relation skills, because they are horrible. These people are really rude. Now, that doesn't go for all of them. Some of them are the nicest people. And they are the most helpful people. And they are really beautiful human beings. But there are some people who work for this company and drive these buses and on these certain routes. They are terrible. Will you all please get a handle on this? Thank you.
Thank you.
The next person and final person to speak is Natalie.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm basically here, to let you know that I'm still here. I've been here for 35 years, and HART has come a very long way. I used to go to USF, riding the bus, and there were times that could not get on the bus because the lift didn't work. We don't have that problem today. It's come a very long way, and I give you so much thanks, gratitude, and I want to be on your board so that I can help give you some insight as a patron of patient. And there's one tiny little thing that I do want to say about the bus. I use Heart Plus a lot, but I do use the bus. And I live in an area where the bus stop is very dangerous. It's near a ditch. So when the ramp comes out, it's either fall in the ditch or make a sharp right. And sometimes it depends on the driver. Sometimes the driver doesn't feel like messing with it, and he'll say, wait for the next bus. Or I get a nice driver that will meet me across the street where there's more room. So I think that sometimes the drivers, they get fatigued, and they might need a dose of sensitivity training. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes public comment.
Thank you all for the comments. We truly appreciate it. The next item for discussion is the reappointment of 3 committee members whose terms expired, who are currently eligible for reappointment and expressed interest in continuing service on the committee. These members are Ms. Karen Levy, Ms. Carmen LeBeau, and Ms. Raquel Pancho. Are there any questions from the committee members to these 3 candidates' reappointment? Is there a motion to approve reappointment of Ms. Levy, Ms. LeBeau, and Ms. Pancho for a 3-year term effective immediately? Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Those who oppose, nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item is the election of ADA committee members. As you know, currently there are 2 vacant positions on the committee. I will facilitate the process for selecting 2 new members to the committee. HART advertised the vacancies and received a number of applicants that have been reviewed by staff for eligibility. All eligible applications were previously sent to the committee for review and were included in the packet. At this meeting, the committee members will be requested to vote for 2 applicants to join the committee as members. When staff calls the committee members' names, please state your top 2 choices from the list of candidates. Staff will then tabulate the results and announce the names of those with the majority of votes or indicate a tie for a second vote. Are there any questions from the committee on the election process?
Do we have any of these people here?
Can you use your mic?
Is anyone present on, for this meeting that is on the list?
Unknown at this time.
Unknown.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Staff, please proceed with the voting.
Thank you, legal. Before moving forward, we did have committee member Vasquez who was unable to attend the meeting, but she did send in her selections of Ms. Bayer and Ms. Hunt as her selections. Committee member Guizala, could you please give me your selections?
Yes, I'm looking for, I need my notes. Could you come back to me as I?
Absolutely.
Go and find my notes?
Committee member LeBeau,
Thank you.
your selections?
I have a question. If there is a conflict for my voting, if I'm a member of the Joint Alliance for People with Disabilities, and I wish to vote for that applicant?
I do not believe that's a conflict,
That's
not
a-
by your bylaws.
Okay, great. So I would vote for Ms. Janet Byer and Ms. Lynn Hunt.
Thank you. Committee member Luce,
Ms. Carol Bennett and Ms. Hunt.
thank you. Committee member Poncho,
Janet Byer and Donna Cicerelli.
thank you. Committee member Tucolo,
Miss Janet Byer and Miss Lynn Hunt.
thank you. Committee member Williams,
Maya Hill and Karen Peoples.
thank you.
Welcome.
Committee member Guizdala,
Hunt and, is it Lawrence? Brenda Lawrence?
yes, sir. So it appears that Miss Janet Byer and Miss Lynn Hunt have the majority to be elected.
Congratulations to the newly appointed members. Please come forward and join the committee at the dais if present at the meeting. We all look forward to working with you. Next item on the agenda is the committee officer elections, which I will also chair. The process will be that I will ask for nominations from the floor, which do not require a second. Committee members can nominate themselves if need be. Once nominations are closed, I will ask the committee members to vote on the nominations to identify one committee member with the majority of votes. The committee members with the majority of votes will be elected as committee officers. Any questions on the process? Both past officers are no longer on the committee, and there are currently 2 vacant positions. The first officer position is Chair of the ADA Accessibility Committee. Do I have any nominations from the floor? Ms. LeBeau?
I nominate Ms. Diane Luce.
Committee member LeBeau nominates Ms. Luce. Any others?
I nominate Marian Guizala.
Committee member Poncho nominates Mr.
Mr. Guizala.
Mr. Guizala.
I appreciate the nomination, but I'm going to have to decline. Thank you.
Understood. Any other nominations? If not, the nomination period is closed. Yep.
Were we looking for 2 people?
Can I move that we accept Ms. Luce by acclamation?
I
Second that.
I didn't hear what Marion said. Excuse me. Would you mind repeating that, please?
Yes, I made a motion that we elect Diane by acclamation.
Okay. Second.
Oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Oppose? Motion carries. Now, you are now elected as the chair of the ADA committee.
Thank you very much. I did not see this coming. I'll do my very best to serve the committee well. I'm happy to be surrounded by very knowledgeable and wonderful people.
Okay, I will continue the election for officers. The next position is Vice Chair of the ADA Accessibility Committee. Do I have any nominations from the floor for Vice Chair?
I'd like to nominate myself for vice chair.
Any other nominations?
Who is that?
Melanie Williams.
Any other nominations? Okay, nominations are now closed. Committee Member Williams is now elected as Vice Chair of the ADA Committee. Congratulations, you all, to the newly elected officers. The Chair will now take over.
Does she need any help? I think she will. Okay.
Okay, this is Diane Luce, Chair, I guess. So we're moving on to approval of minutes. Okay, thank you for the script. So next is the approval of minutes from the November 21st, 2024 ADA Accessibility Committee meeting. Are there any comments or corrections? Okay, Chair recognizes no comments or corrections? Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
This is Raquel, I motion to approve.
I second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, opposed? Okay, motion passes. All right, so next are presentations. Mr. McCarthy, HART Chief Operations Officer, will introduce the first presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, members of the committee, members of the gallery. This presentation is in response to a request from committee members Luce and former committee member Wischarek, who requested that members of the HART team who manage the paratransit eligibility review process be present at a future meeting with the presentation so that committee has an opportunity to ask questions. In response to that, the first presentation is paratransit eligibility for the paratransit program, and I'd like to invite Melissa Hernandez and Judith and Selma, paratransit program coordinators, to present.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Melissa Hernandez. I'm the paratransit coordinator. I'm one of them. I am here to discuss the process of the eligibility for applications for people that are applying for door-to-door service. Now, I am going to discuss the step-by-step process from when the applications are actually received all the way up to the interview. So when we receive applications, we actually go through all the applications and stamp them and determine what applications are complete and what are not. Any applications that are not complete, we do mail a letter and discuss what is actually missing. An example is if the professional verification form is not attached to the application, which is the portion which the doctor will fill out to notify what I do apologize for what diagnosis is and what disability the person has. Another example is sometimes the doctor portion is not completely filled out, which the doctor does not sign or date the form, and we do need to send that back as well. The reason for that is because we do hold the applications up to 6 months from the date the doctor signs the professional verification form. So just in case someone does not reply back, we cannot use anything past 6 months. Now, any application that is complete, we will go through it and go into our system and put everything in. Once that is done, we will then put everything into the system and call each person to schedule their in-person interview. And each interview will be at the Marion Transit Center, and they will either see me or Judith. And we do provide interviews from 8 o'clock in the morning all the way to 3:30 p.m. And each interview is 1 hour long, which we do also take their picture. Judith, do you want to?
Good afternoon. My name is Judith Anselm. I am also a paratransit program coordinator, and I would like to talk about the interview process, what actually happens during the interview. So one of the things that we do, we want to be sure that the information that they provided is still accurate. Address is perhaps one of the biggest things because we need a physical address to determine if they are in the service area for paratransit to provide door-to-door service. So once we go through that, we do have a checklist, and the checklist will explain to them some of our policies. And so providing a physical address is one of the things we need. What else? We also speak about the fare that they need to present when they're riding on HART Plus. And then we also explain to them how to schedule their, how to reserve their trips, excuse me. And so once we go through all of that, we do take their picture, and the picture is so that they will show it to the driver once they're boarding the HART Plus vehicle. And our turnaround is 21 days or less. Some determinations are made the same day, others may be a little bit more complex because we have to determine according to their diagnosis and their condition, what is it about that that makes it difficult to get on our fixed routes? And so that's pretty much what happens in the interview. And so the eligibility process, as you can see, the graph, excuse me, guys, I cannot see. So it shows the amount of applications that we receive. It also goes into the pending. Now, pending would be applications that are missing the professional verification, or perhaps we've called them and they've not returned our phone calls for the face-to-face interview. If you move a little bit to the right, the conditional, to explain what that is if someone's condition still allows them to ride door-to-door service or take the regular fixed route, then the eligibility is conditional for them. Someone who is unconditional, either and or physically or cognitively is unable to get on the fixed route. So in most cases, they will have someone with them, which is a personal care attendant. We call that person a PCA. Temporary may be someone that may have an upcoming surgery, or perhaps they're just healing from an injury. So in most cases, that might just be a year of eligibility. The denial is someone who is familiar with the fixed route. They don't have a condition that would prohibit them from getting onto any of our fixed routes. And then, of course, we do have applicants that withdraw their application. In some cases, it's because they are outside of the service area and they're unable to, for lack of a better word, meet us halfway so that we're able to provide them the door-to-door service. And we spoke earlier about the incomplete applications. They're missing the portion from the doctor. In some cases, they're actually missing the first page, which has their name, address, and phone numbers and things of that nature. And we also have, lastly, the suspensions. Suspensions are usually if someone has perhaps 4 or more no-shows within a 30-day period. And a no-show would be, for example, if they do not cancel a trip in time, which is usually 2 hours before pickup, If they are physically not at the location, that is considered a no-show. And perhaps the biggest no-shows is when they are not ready once the driver has arrived, they waited 5 minutes and they do have to move on to their next pickup. Any questions? Yes.
Marion?
I'll let her go.
I have, excuse me, how do you raise your hand on WebEx?
Oh, I'm sorry. The chair recognizes Mr. Guizdala.
Okay, yeah, I have a couple questions. First of all, so a person, though, could be certified for paratransit even though they lived outside the radius. They just wouldn't be able to get transportation from that location. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And how long is the certification for? Is it 4 years or 3 years?
It is either 1 year, 3 years, or 5 years.
Okay. And how are those determined? Are they determined by the disability, the length of the disability? And are they determined by policy? Or are they determined by regulation? Is there a regulation that says that the person needs to recertify every so often?
I apologize, I don't understand the question.
Well, so we have different, it sounds like different levels of time for recertification, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. Is that set by the policy of HART, or is that set by a regulation so that a person has to be recertified every 5 years or something like that? And that's a regulation, or is that a HART policy?
My understanding is that it is HART policy.
So HART could actually eliminate a recertification time frame for people who are permanently disabled, if there's no regulation preventing that.
I do apologize, I'm unable to answer that question.
If I may, Madam.
Okay, yes, please.
Yes, Committee Member Guzala, theoretically, yes, that's correct. I mean, there would need to be discussion with both the committee and leadership, but theoretically, yes. If it's not statutorily dictated to us, then yes.
Because I'd like to look into that, because there's so many of us who are permanently disabled. I'm never going to get my eyesight back, and my conditions are as best as they're going to be right now. So, I have a lot of colleagues that are like that as well. So, rather than having a certification every 5 years, if they had a permanent certification, they wouldn't have to go through that every, getting the doctor's appointments and all of that, which are just going to show the same results. So I think that'd be something worthwhile looking into.
Understood.
Okay. Any other questions?
Am I correct in that you actually provide the transportation for individuals who have to come and meet with you for the interview?
Yes, we do.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Free of charge.
Yes, thank you. And I also just want to also thank the team for working on the accessibility of the application as well. That was very helpful.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Ms. Williams.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. My question is on the eligibility. I see that the applications that are sent in, then when you look at the pending, and think pending and incomplete, is there an opportunity for us to provide an example of what needs to be completed on the form at the time that they're given the form to apply?
I think we can do that.
I just found for myself that when I need a doctor to sign something and I'm leaving, I make sure they have a copy of what needs to be put in every line item. So I attached that, and it's been very successful since I started that. But I just wanted to offer that recommendation as well, because it would help from, touching it twice, 3 times when you're looking at pending as well as incomplete. I also had what was my other question? I think I would like to ask how to reserve the trips. I think that's an opportunity as well. So if we provide that information to them at any time to make sure that they think they're approved and then they find that they're not. So just making sure that people have an idea of what needs to be filled out even in your training for reserving a trip.
Well, keep in mind, during the interview, we do go through that process. We provide them with the phone numbers, the times that they need to call in to schedule their trip. So we do go through all of that with them. And in many cases also, when they're calling for the first time to customer service, our representative will give them a rundown of how the service works.
Okay. I'm just offering a recommendation, but thank you for sharing what you're doing.
Thank you.
And then I think there was another question I had in regards to I think it was eligibility, but I think someone already answered the question, so I would return it back to you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So this is Ms. Luce. I have just a couple minor questions. First, I want to say thank you for coming in. It's nice to meet both of you.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking the time. I work with adults who are blind and visually impaired and train people how to use HART Plus and help with applications. So I'm curious, when you have an applicant whose application is not complete, I know that you mail a letter requesting additional information. If you can tell from the application that the person's visually impaired, do you make other attempts to reach them? Because sometimes it can take a while for someone, especially if they're visually impaired and live alone, for someone to access their mail. Not all the time, but just wondering if there are any other attempts to contact people.
Yes, we do. On the application, it does have authorized callers or for emergency contacts. I do go down that list when I do call people, and we do leave messages as well.
Okay, that's great. Also was wondering, in your meetings with the applicants, do you provide information about HART travel training opportunities?
Yes, we do. We actually have, how you call them, cards? The little business cards for our travel trainer inside the interview room.
Okay, great. As orientation and mobility specialist at Lighthouse, again, I provide training on using fixed route services. The needs of someone using fixed route with a vision impairment are different than what is addressed in travel training. Do you have information about Lighthouse that you can share with?
Yes, we do.
Perfect.
We do have your pamphlets and business cards, and we also have in large print your addresses and phone number.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd just like to say thank you both for the presentation and educating us on what the process is so that, we feel comfortable with it. I know I asked a few questions, we all did, but we wouldn't have been able to do that if you didn't show us what the process was, and we thank you and appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Ms. LeBeau?
Just a quick question, and maybe we all know this but me, but if a person, you mentioned that the interview is in person, correct?
Yes.
If the person is not able to physically go to the facility of where to apply, can they be accommodated in some other way?
The way we accommodate is having transportation come and pick them up to bring them to our facility.
Okay, and then the next question, which is a quick question, is are you able to provide assistance for them to fill out the form correctly?
Yes, we do that at the interview if there's any assistance needed for the application.
Fantastic, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I promise this will be my last.
That's okay, Ms. Williams. You're fine.
I thought that was an interesting question. Thanks for bringing it up. If they can't get here, you provide transportation. But in today's world, we have Zoom, we have WebEx, we have all those other opportunities that we probably can assist if knowingly that the person is going to be, we'll consider them more of a need than not. So just wondering about the access if that were not, if it's more efficient to do that.
Well, currently, it's on the table. We're discussing it because we've had many people ask us that very same question. So it's pending. That discussion is pending.
What do you need for the pending process? Is that just our conversation or?
Management.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions? I was gonna make a comment, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't go to virtual eligibility meetings, but I do like that having folks take transportation to the meeting gives them a little preview of what like using paratransit would be like. So that's the silver lining, I suppose.
And that's what we use when we're doing our assessment when they come in.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you both very
Thank you.
much. And Mr. McCarthy, we have the next presentation.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. The next presentation, HART Director of Paratransit, James Secor, will share paratransit service performance statistics. He will also cover the requirements for paratransit ride times in response to previous inquiries by committee members. Mr. Secor, you are recognized to present.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Vice Chair. And good afternoon to all the committee members. Okay, so I'm going to walk through the last 6 months OTP, on-time performance, and also the volume of ridership. All right. So on this particular chart, our overall 6-month OTP is at 93.3% versus an overall goal of 92.5%. We finished Q1 of FY25 at 92.6% overall. HART Plus saw a dip in our on-time performance in the month of October, largely due to impacts of the hurricanes. Month to date, we're currently at 92.4% OTP. As far as volume, FY22, the system averaged 16,204 trips monthly. In FY23, we saw an increase of 11% to 17,941 trips on average monthly. FY24, we saw a bigger increase of 31% to 23,591 trips on average. Currently, FY25 year-to-date, we've seen our monthly average increase by an additional 20% to 28,220 trips on average. So it's a lot of growth, but we're still maintaining our on-time performance. All right. This next slide is ADA requirements for 49 CFR Section 37.121. It states paratransit service is by nature a shared ride service. The standard of service is not to reflect that of a taxi service, which typically transport passengers directly to their destination. A paratransit trip should be comparable in length to an identical trip on the fixed route system, including the time necessary to travel to the bus stop, wait for the bus, actual riding time, transfers, and travel from the final stop to the person's ultimate destination, which means if walking is necessary, any portion of the trip, that is also part of the calculation. This next slide shows an example of a trip. Well, this next example shows a comparison of a trip on the fixed route service and the actual trip that was completed in HART Plus. This trip originated at West Ivy Street, traveling in a Veterans Hospital, arriving with an arrival time of 10 a.m. On the fixed route service, this trip would take 1 hour and 3 minutes. The patron would need to be picked up or get to the bus stop at 8:53 and arrive to the location by 9:56. This same trip was actually performed on Friday, January 31st, with HART Plus, and the patron was picked up at 8:30. The driver actually arrived at 8:24, departed the location at 8:34. I mean, the operator arrived at 8:26, departed the original Ivy Street at 8:34, and arrived to Veterans Hospital at 9:15, which is a total of 41 minutes. On the return trip for a 1 o'clock pickup, HART Plus arrived at 12:53, departed at 12:53, and arrived at the patron's destination at 1:37, which is a total of 44 minutes. This next slide shows our ride time averages. FY24, 96% of all trips were under 60 minutes. For Q1, 100% of our rides were under 60 minutes. And over the last 30 days, those trips were actually all completed under, 96% of those trips were also completed under 60 minutes. Some of the factors in those ride times, or some of the factors that contribute to longer ride times, are the distance or length of the trip, the proximity of the origin or destination to high traffic areas, also our peak times. Our heaviest peaks are the first week of the month, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then the AM and PM rush hours. This next slide, it shows paratransit trip purpose. For FY24, and this is strictly HART Plus, we transported a total of 154,324 trips. 31% of those trips, or 48,315, were for medical purposes. Next were quality of life, and we performed quality of life was 28% of the trips. And those are trips going out to eat, church, shopping, and et cetera. And 44,197 trips were for quality of life. The next largest were employment trips, and they accounted for 20% of our total trips, or 30,945 trips. And the last one that I highlight are education trips, which accounts for 17%, or 26,509 trips in FY24. And that concludes my presentation, and I'll take any questions.
Marion?
Is that Mr.
So
Guizella?
my question is, how did you come up with different trip type categories? Because when we call in, we're not asked what the purpose of the trip is. So
when a
how are you determining? Go ahead.
I apologize. When a reservation is booked, there's different categories in trapeze that are selected that, kind of holds that information or that data based on the destination of the trip.
So it's an assumption based upon the destination.
Yeah,
Because someone could be going to a doctor's office, so that could be employment, or it could be medical.
Yes, sir, that is an assumption. That is an assumption based on the destination.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a
Ms.
comment and then a
Foster.
question. So first, thank you so much for providing all of the details that you've had. It was really helpful for me to have the understanding of the comparable time for a fixed route system in comparison to a paratransit ride. This is actually one of the concerns that have been expressed by our community members, that the length of the paratransit ride appears to be, for the people, that it's much more extended than a fixed route system.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just wondering, when individuals have those concerns, how easy would it be if because sometimes as the 8A coordinator, I receive the concerns. How easy would it be for the HART team to say, okay, Raquel, during this time period, during the day, from this destination to this destination, the actual fixed route system ride would have been that, just like you gave in this presentation, because I think that will really help in reinforcing the expectations per the federal rules, as we're helping our community members understand.
Yeah, it wouldn't be difficult to provide that information.
Okay.
If you had a complaint or you had a concern of a tripling.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Okay. I just wanted to comment, I wanted to be transparent that I was one of the individuals who expressed a concern, not specifically about the ride lengths, but what individuals who are applying for the service were being told in the application meetings, and it's third hand, of course. I wasn't in the meetings. I was just have been told once or twice that sometimes they're told that a trip can take up to 4 hours. I don't even know if that statement is accurate, and it seems extreme, but if I heard that as an applicant, I would be pretty terrified. So I thought about asking the ladies who do the eligibility to respond to that, but seeing that you were going to speak on ride times, I was just curious if what are applicants told when they apply for the service? Are they told anything about what to expect in terms of trip times? I believe you said you do cover that in the interviews. Is there, I guess, a statement or?
This is Melissa Hernandez. I'm going to answer that. We do explain that takes the same time it is to ride a local fixed route. And depending on traffic and everything, it can last a little longer. But we do have that on our checklist as well that we do explain.
And if someone's never used the fixed route and so doesn't really have a frame of reference, do you give them an idea of
Yes, we
what
do.
that?
What we do is we get an example of where they need to travel to, and I'll open up some Google and do the same type of presentation that he had just shown there and explain how long it would be.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I mean, and just my observation when I'm working with individuals, it's very, very rare for a client of mine to say that they were on the bus for hours, the van for hours, which is encouraging because I can remember a time in other communities where that wasn't the case. So I don't have a finger on the pulse all the time, but a sampling, I guess you'd say, and generally it's good, it's acceptable and good, and people understand traffic, So, yes, Ms. Williams.
Thank you so much. I was looking at your page, HART Plus ride time averages. There's 26 that are outside of the 60-minute window. Do you go back and have conversations to try to look at those and see proactively what can be done to reconcile those numbers? Not very many at all, but I'm just, the fact that one person would have it would be the reason why we're speaking about it.
Yes, ma'am. We actually do go back and when we look at this data, when we reconcile it, we do go back and look to see exactly what happened. Actually, every day I meet with the manager of van operations as well as the scheduler, and we kind of analyze the day prior's performance to see if it's anything that, we can adjust, or is it just outliers. So we do go back and check that information.
Great, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you for the presentation. All right, reports are next. Okay, chair's report. I guess that's me. Well, I didn't come with anything prepared. But I can say a couple of things. First of all, I want to say, again, thank you for the nomination. I too had intended on nominating Mr. Guizdala. I'm very conscientious and very conscious of the fact that I don't sit here with a lived experience as someone with a disability. I think it's important to have people on the committee who do have that experience. I can't look around the room and say that the people at the table don't have a disability, because not all disabilities are visible, and now we can't see those. So I would not go so far as to say that, but I am happy that it appears from the applications and the way that we voted for the new members that we will have a couple of people joining us who do have that experience. I think it's critical, and I just want everyone in the room to know that I'm always going to be conscious of the fact that I don't live with a disability yet. I do believe as I age, if I'm lucky to live a long life, I'll get there. So I just wanted to state that. I also want to say thank you for the new bus stop outside of Lighthouse. It's beautiful. It's really nice. So that'll be nice for our folks who do use the system, and great for training too, from my perspective. And the other thing was it's maybe more of a question, I don't know, but I was told by a student of mine that the subscription, the ability to book subscription trips is back on HART Plus. Is that true?
That is
Okay,
correct.
that's good news. Yeah, very good news, especially for people with regular schedules of employment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you again for that. And that's it for me. Okay, so do I go to the next? Okay, next is the basic transit infrastructure update. So Mr. Dwayne Brown, Project Manager 1, you are recognized.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to say congratulations to those people who have been voted in to the council. I look forward to working with you guys. All right. So for the record, my name is Dwayne Brown. I am the Basic Transit Infrastructure Program Manager with HART, and I will be giving you guys an update on the projects that we have that's been completed and what we are currently working on. Currently, we have 3 projects that are in design, 4 projects that are in permitting, and then we have 10 projects that are in construction, and we got 1 project that's been completed. This was done a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week or so ago, so I've got some updates to that. Again, like we installed a couple of new shelters, as the chair mentioned. We put one in front of Lighthouse of the Blind, and we also put one out in front of McDonald Training Center to kind of get us moving forward with some of those those shelters that we have out there. But I'm going to go forward here. Sorry. The project we completed a project out in front of our 21st Avenue facility, where we constructed a bus bay, and we put in brand new shelters at both of those locations, at the 2 locations that were there. The bus bay that we built was in order for us to get the buses off the road there. There's a 2-lane road there, and we were finding that the buses were being stopped. There's a time stop that's there, and sometimes the buses can wait there a couple of minutes. And if you add that up over a day over time during the day, it could be 30 minutes to 45 minutes. We have a bus sitting in the middle of the road. So we wanted to get the buses off the road there, and it was important for our facilities for them to get those buses off. So we built a bus bay there. You can see down at the bottom, and we also did some branding of those 2 of the shelters that are there, where we put the HART logo on there. So that's the one that we completed. We got in permitting, matter of fact, the memorial at George Road, that permit just came out from the county, and we met this week with our contractor to get that one started for pre-construction. So that one will go into construction as soon as the procurement and stuff is done. That should be within the next couple of weeks. That should be constructed. Hillsborough at 43rd, we did an easement with the school board in order to get this bus stop done so we can get a shelter on that. It is in permitting with FDOT. FDOT's computer system where we download all the permits and stuff is broken now, and we're going through manually to get that done with our engineering firm, Kimley Horn, to get that one pressed through. We're looking at maybe next week we have that permit ready and we'll be ready to go with that one. Currently in design, we have Rolette Park and Waters. We're going to be doing a bus bay here. We're going to be replacing this current bus stop there, and we're going to be putting in a bus bay there for to allow the bus to get off the road again. That's a two. It's that intersection is kind of small, and so we want to be able to get the buses off the road there. The next bus stop that we're working on is going to be bus stops at 22nd and Bush. Those are in design. Again, these bus stops are heavy ridership bus stops, and we want to, number one, we want to move them from the area that they are, because as you can see, it's at grade right now, which means it's at level with the ground. And I don't know if you can see in the picture, there's like a drainage problem that's there, and water just comes right into there. So we want to move that bus stop down a little bit, raise it up, and get it out of the drainage area there. And then we have the bus stops at Main Street. We have 4 bus stops on Main Street, right in front of the housing that they have there. They're building housing right there on Main Street at Willow and Rome. And we're going to be doing 4 new bus stops there. Well, actually 3 bus stops. One is going to be done by the developer there, but those are in currently in permitting. And then we go moving out to Davis Road. That's up near Harney, near. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's up near the. If you're familiar with the Amazon center that they have off on Harney, this is closer. This is close by there. We're going to be doing bus stops there to bring those up to ADA compliance. And we also have a bus stop here. This was requested by Ms. Myers. It's at the Al Barnes City Park. That's off of 21st and 32nd. We're working with the city to do an easement with them, so for us to be able to place a shelter at this bus stop. So with our shelters, you can see here, again, this is a little bit outdated information. We have 80 shelters that are out on the street, not 78. So we placed 2 since I last updated this. And then we have additional 10 shelters that are going to be placed here within the next week or so. So this number is going to be up to 90. And again, the two of the shelters that we just placed were at Lighthouse for the Blind and the McDonald's Training Center. I know the lady here, she had a question about a bus stop. So I'm going to talk with her as soon as this is finished to get where that location is so that we can address her issues.
Okay.
All right. That's
Very
all I have.
good.
Yeah, anybody have any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Brown. I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. I'm so. Okay.
I do acknowledge we do have a new bus stop, which is great. Could you please use your mic? We have a new bus stop outside, as you mentioned, that's great. The one thing that we need collaboration on is how to make it ADA accessible. It is down an easement, so everyone coming from our building, crossing our parking lot, if they're in a wheelchair or have any other mobility issues, they cannot get down to that particular station. The only other way to go is to go around our parking lot and through it. So we would need
Yes.
collaboration on how to make that more ADA accessible, specifically crossing the parking lot for anyone there.
Yes. So we have looked at it. It's complicated without going into a whole bunch of BTI stuff, which I know you guys, but we are working on that. All right.
Thank you.
Yes, okay, I'm sorry. I'm having trouble seeing the names. Okay. Mr. Anistal.
Yes, thank you. Just a question about the new shelter projects. Will they all include base stations for the buses?
No. So just to elaborate on that, there's not enough space a lot of times for us to put in bus bays. There's not enough space a lot of times for us to put in shelters. There's not enough space a lot of times for us to put in benches. So we have to deal with what we're given out, what the situation is on the ground out there. So we try to do our best to build the bus stop that is right for that particular stop, that particular location. So the answer is no, we don't do all bus bays.
Just when practical?
Yes, when
Yep.
practical, yes.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay, Ms. Pancho.
If there's anything that I can help with as far as the location at the Parks facility, let me know, because I'm with the City of Tampa.
Okay.
And I appreciate your concerted effort to do that. One of our advocates, actually, who's in the audience, every time I speak with him about a park, he always asks, how close is it to a HART bus stop? So I appreciate the effort there.
Yes, so with that, as much help as you can give. We've had the easement in with them since July. We've done everything that they've asked us to do. And we're just waiting on them to come back and sign the easement. So we've given them the easement, we've written it up, we've placed it in their hands, and it's gone back and forth across the county to several different departments, and we've done everything that's been asked of us, and we get crickets. All right.
Any more questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next report is from Ms. Catherine Sanchez, Manager of Customer Service, and you are recognized to present.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Mr. McCarthy, Mr. Sikor, congratulations, Chair and Vice Chair. I'm Catherine Sanchez, Manager of Customer Service, and I will be presenting to you the Customer Service Matrix for the last quarter. So let me see if we can see that here. So I'll start with the inbound and monthly calls for November. We received 17,803 calls. In December, we received 17,622 calls. And in January, we received 18,347 calls. Typically, for November and December, because of the holidays, the call volume goes down. And then in January, we have a little bit of a spike because school's back. We typically have service changes, but this year we actually had two main events, one being the Flamingo Fairs. We completely transitioned and eliminated the paper fare, and this is just for bus, because I know they ask about HART Plus coupons. And then we also had the Route 1 fare-free pilot program that was funded by the City of Tampa. Okay, so that's for our inbound calls. The next stat is the average queue time, and that's just how long the customer is on hold waiting for their call to be answered. And for November, this is, we have for Spanish and for English. For Spanish, they waited 4 minutes and 4 seconds. For English, they waited 2 minutes and 16 seconds. December, it was 4 minutes and 39 seconds. For English, it was 3 minutes and 12 seconds. And for January, it went down to Spanish, 3 minutes and 46 seconds. And for English, 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Right now, it's fairly new, but we did have new schedule changes for the representatives in January, so that could potentially be one of the contributors. Okay, any questions? That concludes my report.
Any questions? No? Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
Ms. Sanchez. Okay. All right, I guess we're at the point where we're going to talk about the next meeting. It will be on May 15th, 2025, from 1:30 to 3 o'clock. The next is roundtable discussions. Each committee member will have 3 minutes to share updates. So I guess we'll start maybe to my left, Ms. Williams? Or
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I just wanted to go back to Mr. Marshall's feedback, so I'm not sure if it should be handled in old business, new business, but the fact that when someone falls and there's a situation such as that to secure the seatbelt, I guess I'm not sure of whose responsibility is it to secure the seat. And at times I hear our patrons say that they are doing that, and then other times I hear that the bus drivers, van drivers is securing the person that they're driving, picking up.
So I can, yeah, so it's the operator of the vehicle's responsibility to secure the wheel mobility device. They do not secure the individual person within that. Some do, some don't, but a lot of customers choose, for whatever reason, not to have that, so that they are responsible.
Okay, so I just assume these are isolated because I've not heard this before.
Right.
And so it's just something that, stuck with me.
Right, yeah, this is something we emphasize in our COAST training, which is basically our recertification annual training for operators, that there's a module covered on securement. So we just need to, be out there monitoring as much as we can and following up when we do have concerns raised.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. LeBlue?
Thank you. I just had a brief question based on the comment that was raised today, and was wondering how often per year is the staff trained on ADA, such as personal etiquette, when they work with people with disabilities and so forth, if there is a quarterly training possibly, or if it's once a year, if it can be increased? Thank you.
So right now, it's annually. I would love for it to be quarterly. I would love for it to be monthly, but the logistics just don't allow for us to be able to get, 300 and some odd operators off the bus and in a classroom for 8 hours. It's just, at the moment anyway, it's just not practical. But we do have, as I just referred to, a program called COAST, which is comprehensive, operational. Help me out, Richard.
Good afternoon, Chair, Committee. Yes, the COAST is Richard Campbell, Chief Safety Officer. The COAST stands for Continual Operations and Safety Training. And if I may, Sean, we do them quarterly, but we do cater the training to the trends that we see. So, correct, the ADA, customer service, wheelchair securement, whatever the trend is, we'll hit it once a year. But we cater the training to whatever trends we see. If we see, accidents or incidents or something, then, every month, every quarter, we cater that training to that.
Mr. Campbell, can you repeat the acronym?
COAST, Continual Operations and Safety Training.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm assuming the training is in person, correct?
Correct.
Is there an option for a virtual or a combination of the two?
We don't utilize that for our operators. We usually take that opportunity. It gives them the opportunity to come in and be with their peers and kind of interact a little bit. We have offered some training via WebEx and stuff, but more through our resource at Cutter, where it's a program and then they follow along, but most of the coasts, almost all of the coasts, are in person.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Joe? Yes.
First, I'd like to give a compliment to Catherine Sanchez. Every time that I've had a concern that a community member has shared with me, I contact her, and she is very responsive and very detailed. I often hear back from the individual that HART followed up with them. So I always really appreciate her conscientiousness and quick response. I also want to thank Brendan Love also, too. He's very responsive to the concerns that I've raised with the yellow cab and Uber combination things. Mr. Marshall did contact me, and overall, I want to hone in on the compliment that he had shared, that there's many drivers that do things right for a good amount of his trips. But what does concern me, and I anticipate it might be maybe new employees that this might be happening with, as far as the lack of understanding, the denials of the rides for passengers who use the mobility equipment. I tend to hope to gravitate that might actually be non-season employees. So as you're looking possibly at how we can possibly address the gaps in understanding or lack of knowledge, maybe those team members can be targeted. I've tried to encourage Mr. Marshall as well as others to continue to report the concerns to HART.
Absolutely.
And as you're looking at the trends, I wonder if that is an area that, with the complaints that are received, is HART actually looking at those complaints and then kind of honing in and, okay, it seems like we're getting a lot of concerns about securement or denials of rides. Maybe that could be also the targeted measures for the educational awareness. Thank you.
Just want to understand, denial of rides, when does that happen? At the time they make the request or once someone gets?
This is fixed route system. At our last HART meet, actually, it's been a minute, but he has contacted me several times. Mr. Marshall has reported that he's been in his mobility equipment at a bus stop, and when the bus is there, I think the most recent one I recall was actually at the University University Square Mall. He was there with the other patrons. Everybody else got on, and the bus took off. And he was right there at the bus stop. The other time periods that he had shared with me was that he was at the bus stop. The bus driver, there's a couple of instances, so forgive me. One instance was there was a person who was already not a wheelchair user, but an individual that was seated in the area where a person who uses a wheelchair would be seated. And he was told that he couldn't ask, the patron, would have to ask the other patron to move. And then a different situation happened where I think that, I'm not sure if it was somebody also seated in the area, but I think the driver had said that there was no space. So, and in turn he was told to just wait for the next bus. And while nobody else has called me, he has shared that other patrons who have mobility equipment have shared with him that they've been encountering this and have said, they complained a while ago, but they're just tired and haven't continued to raise the concerns.
How do you track that? If I left someone because they couldn't get on, is that something that someone reports back to you, or how does that happen?
Well, in a case like that, ideally, the operator should call the operations control center. Now, if an operator is not complying, then obviously that's not going to happen. But my advice would be to continue to make sure that we're reporting. We have video on these buses now. It's very, we have the tools to run these things to ground and find out exactly, who is not following the proper procedure. As long as we know about it, in relative real time, we can take whatever corrective action is, whether that's re-education or something a little bit more firm. Those are all tools at our disposal.
I think 19,000 trips is what I saw on the one page, and the issues that we're hearing are probably exceptions. And so, sometimes that overshadows the amount of work that's being done.
Sure.
But we do want to make sure we
We want to be 100%.
very crisp for that. Thank you. I just wanted to recognize that. Thank you.
Hey, Ms. Tuklo.
So to double back onto what everyone before me has said, we also have had some people that have had some issues with securement. Would it behoove you guys to come to an organization that has people with disabilities there to be able to practice securement real time? Being able to secure a wheelchair with somebody in it and being able to use the lift and being able to go through all of that is a different process than what it is to be able to secure a non-occupied wheelchair. The other question would be, is that annual training, is it a pass-fail training? Is there any type of repercussion if the driver does not complete the training correctly? Is there any type of taking them off or retraining, or is it just you're here because you're here for today, and what does that mean going forward for how you do operate your securement?
Good afternoon again. I'm in charge of the Learning and Development Department, so one of the things that we do in the coast, it is not a pass or fail. It is, we bring individuals on holistically and say, hey, we've noticed that, as an example, we're having mirror strikes. We've had a trend up, maybe we're getting too close to the curb, whatever the case may be. As far as remedial training, if you will, then yes, we do have, we grade it a little bit more. And the initial training, when a person goes through the training department, when they first start the onboarding process, then these things are on a pass or fail basis. We do have a few wheelchairs and different mobility devices that we use, and we do utilize students in them so that they can kind of get a little bit better understanding of, of a person with a disability, what it's like to board the bus, off, a light and stuff like that. So we do a lot of that hands-on training, and we do have a securement board. So we actually have the same type of securements that we have in the vehicles. We have a metal plate that has the straps and everything. So we can do it indoors if, the weather's not working for us, if we want to do a one-on-one, but we also utilize the equipment. So we use the buses, the fixed route buses, and the paratransit vehicles, because as the buses have a ramp and the vans have a lift, there's different nuances to understanding how that works. So we do a lot of hands-on training. I can get with the manager of learning and development. We're always looking for, I know Ms. Lutz comes out, CSX comes out for Operation Lifesaver. So we definitely have no issue with bringing outside people to come and give us a better perspective. Who better to know what the disability, how it works, than somebody with that disability. So we do encourage that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Campbell.
And I just wanted to offer that maybe as you're doing the training, maybe helping the drivers understand, because when Mr. Marshall's been reporting some of these things, it sounds like the drivers are really pressured because of the schedule. So I just wonder, just allowing them to understand that if they actually have to take that time to get it right, that maybe that pressure of not being so worried about being in trouble because of the time schedule, because they actually have to secure somebody, will help alleviate the stress that they're encountering when something is not actually working.
Absolutely.
Well. So, and just conveying that to them.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we have Mr. Guizdala. It's 2:55, so he's got his 3 minutes. I want to comment that he also comes and does training with me with new drivers, and that is probably the most important thing, that he comes out. Yep. Go ahead, Mr.
I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
thank you. And I want to say that I really appreciate how proactive Brendan Love has been with West Coast Transportation and Yellow Cab concerning the challenges that those of us who have service animals and are having challenges with Uber. Brendan called me about one such incident that happened and told me about it before the person actually called me and told me about it herself. So I like that proactive position that we have and that relationship, because I think that we have the ability to solve this, and I'm working with all of the players here locally, HART and Yellow, to solve this. One of the other things I wanted to find out is there seems to be, a break in how we pay for our fare. By that I mean, I can pay for my paratransit fare using the Move It app, but I can't use the Flamingo app to pay for paratransit. I can use the Flamingo app to pay for my fixed route fare, but I can't use Move It anymore to pay for my fixed route fare. So I was wondering if there's why there's a disconnect between the payment methods and the types of fares that you can pay for using those payment methods.
Oh, sorry, Mr. McCarthy.
Yeah, I'll take a shot at it. I cannot speak to Move It. And in full transparency, I just found out about Move It in the last 72 hours. So I can't speak to that, but I will say that the goal is at HART to get everybody who uses HART to use Flamingo. That is, we've invested a lot of money in that system. It's shared by Pinellas and was once shared by multiple agencies. So our goal is to have everybody ultimately use that. We are in the process of procuring a CAD AVL system for the paratransit operation, which as a part of that will be the ability to pay your fare electronically. And the goal would be to incorporate Flamingo at that time.
So what I'm correct, at this time, we can't pay for our paratransit using Flamingo?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. I don't think there was anybody else virtual. Is there any old business? Sorry, go ahead.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to mention that some of the examples we're getting at the board meeting, I would just hope that people aren't waiting until the board meeting in order to address those issues with people in place that should be able to help right away. And I know you definitely agree with that philosophy.
Yes.
And one more day of something not happening the way it's supposed to could be very critical. So I just want to make sure people know we are here to help and we can take care of their issues prior to the board meeting.
Yeah, thank you. Ms. Williams? Okay. No old business. Any new business?
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes.
So I just wanted to respond to Committee Member Guzdala regarding something that was brought up at our last meeting, and I'm pleased to report that the automated announcement for Palm River Road at 78th Street has been backed up 200 yards in both directions. So I look forward to hearing from Committee Member Guzdala to verify that that has been done and that suits your needs.
Okay, I'll get out there and ride that route.
All right.
Great news. Okay, it is 3 o'clock on the dot. And I guess that's it, right? All right, so the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Family Feud is on, so let's go.
Congratulations again. Very much. You should be sitting here. I'll help you.
Thanks for using WebEx. Visit our
Yes, I was
website
just gonna
at
say.
www.webex.com.